I love two things that are sometimes in contradiction with each other. On the one hand, I love simplicity. I love convenience. I love not doing more than I have to when it comes to almost anything. Let's figure out the minimum effective dose, get what we need, and move on. But on the other hand, I do love to know the ideal best way of doing things. So if you want the optimal or most beneficial strategy for getting something done, let's say with your running, I love to know what that is. So on the one hand, I have a program called High Performance Lifting that I think is the optimal, ideal, most comprehensive way of getting strong for runners. If you want to follow a periodized, progressive, power-oriented, running-specific weightlifting program, High Performance Lifting is for you. On the other hand, it's not the simplest of programs because it's comprehensive. It is a more complex weightlifting program, and it's really going to deliver you a ton of results. But what if you want something simpler? What if you want something that is a little bit more basic and you don't really have the resources, the time, the energy, or all of the equipment to get high performance lifting done? Let's talk about 3 of my favorite lower body exercises for runners. These are going to accomplish many different goals. So number 1, these are mostly full body exercises. We are runners. We don't need to do a lot of isolation work like bodybuilders. We're not going to do bis and tris. We're not going to isolate our hamstrings by doing a hamstring curl. And that's because it's more beneficial to train movements, not muscles. So all of these exercises are movements. They don't isolate any muscles. They're also very running specific. They do focus on the lower body and they focus on the type of movement that we do as runners. So let's talk about the number 1 exercise, not the most important, but the first exercise in our list here, and that is the very simple lunge. Now, the great thing about lunges is that you can do a lot of different types of lunges. You can even add weight to lunges. Lunges can help you move in multiple planes of motion. They can, you can hold weight and really challenge your body in a very specific way that's very similar to running. And the other thing that I love about lunges is that not only do they build strength, but you can use them as part of your warm-up as well. So if you're not incorporating lunges into your training program, now's the time. Wonderful exercise. You can you do up to 5 different types of lunges, add weight, and they're going to be good for building strength and warming you up to run. My next favorite exercise is the deadlift. The deadlift is another fundamental classic exercise that I think every runner should be incorporating into their training. It's that fundamental. So whether you're a high school runner who's just getting started, or you're one of the best runners in the world, deadlifts are probably a good idea to add to your program. Now, the wonderful thing about deadlifts is that they focus on the posterior chain. These are exercises that work sort of the back part of your body, your glutes, your hamstrings, your calves. These are the posterior muscles that we sometimes ignore or under prioritize as runners. And the other wonderful thing about deadlifts as well as lunges is that they can be modified into single leg variations. Now obviously with a lunge you're taking individual steps, you're not using both legs at the same time, so the lunge is a single leg exercise, making it more specific to the demands of running. Same thing with a deadlift. You can pull a bar off the floor, you can pull a kettlebell or a single dumbbell off the floor, but you can also vary this exercise and do it as a single leg version where you're holding a dumbbell or a kettlebell in one hand and you're just using one of your legs to perform the movement. Again, this is a multi-joint compound exercise. Perfect exercise for runners. So if you're not doing deadlifts in your training, let's get started.
I'm not that big into supplements, but I do love AG1 by Athletic Greens. I consider it my nutrition insurance, helping me cover all my bases so I know I'm not missing out on anything my body needs, especially when I'm training really hard. I try to eat really well, but of course, AG1 is that extra security that gives me peace of mind over my diet. 1 scoop per day, and I'm getting 75 vitamins and minerals, prebiotics, probiotics, antioxidants, and adaptogens. You can try it out too at athleticgreens.com/Jason, and they're going to throw in a free year's worth supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. Check it out at athleticgreens.com/Jason.
And then finally, I want you to add squats to your training as well. Squat is another running specific exercise. You can do this single leg or double leg. The single leg version, also known as the pistol squat, is one of the hardest body weight exercises that you can find. It's a big part of the ITB rehab routine, which is a great routine. I'll link it underneath this video that you can incorporate into your training as early as today. But the great thing about squats is that, yes, they're running specific. Yes, they have options. So you can do a double leg version, or you can do that single leg pistol squat version. You can also add weight. So you can do something as simple as picking up your kid, squatting your kid. You can use a gallon of water if you have it, or dumbbells, kettlebells, some very basic implements that you have at home. And so if you were to incorporate a variety of these exercises into your weekly running program, the lunge, the squat, and the deadlift, you can't go wrong. These are fundamental exercises. These are running specific exercises, and they can all be made into single leg versions. You can add weight to all of these exercises, and they all have variations. So you're not stuck doing the same exercise every single week, week after week after week. You're instead varying the movement somewhat so that you're increasing your coordination and your overall athleticism. I have found that when runners get consistent with strength training for at least 4 weeks, so you do have to stay consistent for 4 weeks, that's when great things start happening. You start just feeling really good. You start benefiting from some of that strength that you're gaining. You start improving the intra and intermuscular coordination between your muscles. That helps you feel a little bit more graceful, a little bit more smooth when you go out there running. And these are some really fantastic strategies for you just to improve your running overall. Yes, you're going to get stronger. Yeah, you're probably going to feel a little better when you're out there running because you're stronger, because you're more coordinated. You're also probably going to run faster, and you're going to reduce your injury risk. And I think those are all goals that we have as runners. Now, if you have not signed up for our weightlifting email series, this is a free course you can take. You're going to get an email a day talking more about what you can expect from weightlifting for runners. We're going to talk about example exercises. We're going to talk about some of the classic mistakes that a lot of runners make in the weight room, like lifting like a bodybuilder. We talked about that in this video. I don't need you to do any isolation exercises in the gym. Instead, we can focus on those fundamental movements that we discussed. And we're also going to talk about case studies of successful runners who have incorporated weightlifting into their training and the results that they have seen. So use the link under this video or go to strengthrunning.com/strength, and you can sign up today. It's free. I'll start sending you 1 email a day on a new strength training concept that you can start using in your training today. Good luck out there, get strong, and remember, you don't always have to make things more complicated than they need to be.